think, as you know from our previous release, that I traveled to Iran on August 26th to speak at a conference there which honored Dr. Borlaug as part of the centennial observance of his birth. But it wasn't until I came back and learned a little bit more that I came to realize that my visit was truly unprecedented. I discovered that I am the first ever former United States ambassador ever to be invited to come to Iran and address a conference organized by a governmental entity, or for that matter, any other conference organized by anyone. And I received an unprecedented response to my remarks. The conference was organized by the Agricultural Biotechnology Research Institute of Iran. And in my 25-minute address, which the Minister of Agriculture attended, the clerical representative of the Supreme Leader of Iran was there. There were about 400 people filled an auditorium, vice ministers, research scientists. And I talked about Dr. Borlaug and being with him at the 100th anniversary of the Nobel Peace Prize in Oslo. And while there, a laureate said, people who can work together towards a common objective can live in peace together. And I said that this was the spirit of Dr. Borlaug. It was the spirit of the World Food Prize. And I said that confronting hunger can bring people together across even the broadest divides of culture, religion, ethnicity, or diplomacy. And I said that there was an opportunity now to do this in regard to this terrible wheat rust disease known as UG99, which is sweeping around the world, and against which Dr. Borlaug fought all of his life. And I said there is an opportunity for us to work together towards this common accomplishment. And to that end, I invited the Iranian ministry and the Agricultural Biotechnology Research Institute to send one of their top scientists to the World Food Prize Symposium next month, October 15 to 17, and to be part of a panel we are bringing together on wheat rust and wheat. And just an hour ago, I received the response with the nomination of the Director General of one of their institutes that works on this, and proposing him to come and be part of that panel and that discussion here in Des Moines at the World Food Prize Borlaug Dialogue Symposium. I'm going to write this afternoon to the State Department asking them to expedite the approval of a visa. Of course, I don't know what will happen, but this is a great opportunity to build upon my unprecedented visit, the first ever former U.S. ambassador ever invited to come to Iran to speak to a conference like that. And I said to the audience in Iran that wouldn't it be the greatest tribute possible to Dr. Borlaug if we could one day, by working together, eradicate wheat rust disease from the face of the earth, and stand together and cheer for that accomplishment. I was stunned and taken aback by the fact that I received a spontaneous standing ovation, led by the minister, by the clerical representative, and everybody in the place. And I thought, here I am. There's no official relationship, a former official of my government. And to be clear, they viewed me in my current independent capacity, not as a representative of the U.S. government, but here they were and stood up and cheered for Dr. Borlaug, for our message. And I took from that considerable heart that perhaps there are steps possible that could reduce tension and hopefully alleviate conflict. particularly now with so much turmoil and volatility throughout the Middle East. Now, in looking back at this, I thought, isn't it amazing how Dr. Borlaug's legacy continues 5 years after his death to impact around the world. September 12th, just a few days ago, was the 5th anniversary of his passing away. But here he is still playing this role. You know, I was, as the chair of the Norman Borlaug Statue Committee, in Statuary Hall on March 25th, the exact 100th anniversary of his birth, and watched as the political leadership of our country came together across party lines to honor Dr. Borlaug. Isn't it incredible that one of the very few things that American political leaders and Iranian leaders could agree on was honoring Dr. Borlaug? And the Agricultural Biotechnology Research Institute of Iran made efforts to purchase a copy of that Iowa statue so they could install it in Iran. I thought, imagine the symbolism. If Dr. Borlaug's statue were there near Tehran and Washington, inspiring us to collaborate and work together and confront, as we confront the greatest challenge in the history of humanity, feeding 9 billion people by the year 2050. And then I thought to myself, wow, biotechnology, it can be so divisive. People are protesting about it in the United States, in Europe, in India, other places. Isn't it ironic that it could be the medium by which the United States and other countries in the West could have a dialogue with Dr. Borlaug? Because the Iranians honored Dr. Borlaug because he did things to help them in the 1960s to enhance their wheat production, and because they are such ardent supporters of biotechnology. So at the end of the ceremony, they presented this original artwork, this woven piece, to me to bring back. It's a whole separate story about how I got it on all these planes coming back from Tehran. But here, and the quote they have from Dr. Borlaug is all about biotechnology. And they have a much bigger version that they are installing in their institute, which has the quote in Farsi, their language, as well as in English. And so this was their tribute to Dr. Borlaug, since they couldn't get one of those statues. And then I thought to myself, in reflection, maybe Iowa can once again be the place where there can be amazing contacts or actions through agriculture, through our humanitarian heritage, to lessen tensions and help promote peace. And so I'm in here because of the artwork that you see. And I showed these slides in Iran of Hoover taking food to feed the children of the Soviet Union at the end of World War I. There's the Yamanashi hog lift, where Iowa took animals to Japan shortly after World War II to help our adversaries recover. And I mentioned Khrushchev's visit to the Garst farm in 1959, at the height of the Cold War and the nuclear tensions and the threat of nuclear war, and how corn and agriculture were able to provide an avenue by which exchanges were made, particularly by John Crystal, whose bust is right outside the door, and which helped alleviate those tensions and keep the peace. And Crystal, interestingly, I'm told, also made trips to Iran. So here's Iowa once again, the World Food Prize, place where we can be through what we do best, agriculture and feeding people, perhaps opening the way for a small, but maybe not insignificant step in helping ensure that there is peace and moving away from conflict. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Can you talk a little bit about wheat rust, and is it severely affecting Iran, or is it other countries, and what's going to happen in October to try to address that?
Sure. Wheat rust got started in Uganda, which is why it's called UG99, in the year 1999. It was a surprise because the feeling, and Dr. Borlaug had felt that wheat rust had been so contained up to that point. And it's now a wind-borne problem, and that can sweep from one country to another. And there is an international effort called the Borlaug Global Rust Initiative, which has been undertaken. It's headed by Dr. Ronnie Kaufman, who's a member of the World Food Prize Council of Advisors, and it brings together people from many countries. And they have reached out to Iran. And as this wheat rust has spread around the globe to many different countries, each has had to confront this. And so there's an intense research experience going on to counter it. Iran did have it blow across their borders, were affected by it. In keeping with the quite extensive agricultural research capability that they have, they've been able to deal with it and hold it in check. So they have things to offer.